Today marks a huge step for our homestead. We are planting our very first fruit trees, and this orchard will change everything about how we grow food here. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Laid Back Homestead. I'm Crystal, and we are out on the homestead property today for a very exciting milestone. We are finally starting our fruit tree orchard, a dream we have had since the beginning of this journey. If you have ever imagined picking peaches, apples, or fresh fruit right from your own backyard, you will enjoy following along with this project. We are planting several different varieties chosen to thrive in our climate, which is Zone 9A, and each one represents a future harvest we cannot wait to share. This entire operation has taken careful planning, equipment, budgeting, and more muscle than expected. There have been challenges and unexpected decisions along the way, although that is what makes homesteading an adventure. If you are curious about what it really takes to establish a small orchard, including the costs and labor involved, then you are in the right place. Settle in with your favorite drink, make sure you are subscribed for more updates, and join us as we plant the first trees that will one day feed our family. So we have our fruit tree grove. I call it a grove. Call it what you want. This is how long of a space our fruit trees will have, and we're gonna have 2 rows. So we're out here to plant the first fruit trees that are going to be on our property. We have 4 Satsumas that we're going to be putting in the ground today. But first we had to come out and mark, paying attention to the sun, where we want to have our rows of fruit trees. It was then that we realized that our $10 shovel was not going to work with our extremely hard, dry clay. Well, it's a different day. We realized we weren't going to get those fruit trees in the ground with that shovel, so we went and bought an auger. We figured it was really worth the investment considering how many holes will need to be dug on this property, not just for the fruit orchard, but also for all of the animals and just different fencing that we're going to need over the years. So yeah, that came in, and now we're going to attempt to plant our fruit trees. Get this orchard started, hopefully. I don't know if you can tell by all the dust that's flying around, but our ground had been very dry. We had been in a drought for at least a month, so this ended up being a very messy job. Our fruit trees are spaced 20 feet apart with 7 trees per row, and each row is also set off 20 feet between them. Now I do have additional room to add on to this orchard in the future, which, knowing me, will probably happen. Now you can reduce the spacing of the fruit trees depending on the varieties that you are growing. We went with the largest size of fruit tree in mind, the peaches, which most of ours claim to grow to about 15 to 20 feet. The citrus, in particular the Satsumas, will only mature to between 10 and 15 feet. We wanted to give every tree the room it needs to grow strong and healthy. Spacing plays a huge role in the long-term success of an orchard. When trees are planted too closely, the canopies will eventually overlap, blocking out sunlight from the lower branches. Adequate sunlight exposure is necessary for photosynthesis and for producing good quality fruit. Proper spacing helps make sure every branch has a chance to thrive. The more it thrives, the more fruit you get. Airflow is another important factor. Good circulation through the trees helps lower humidity levels and reduces the risk of fungal diseases and pest pressure. Trees that have the space to breathe will dry out faster after rain or dew, which leads to a healthier orchard overall. I happen to live in a very humid climate in southeast Louisiana, so this is probably one of the most important factors for me to consider when it comes to dealing with fungal issues. Another reason to practice proper spacing is that roots need space too. When trees are crowded, they end up competing underground for water and nutrients. Spacing them correctly gives each tree enough soil and hydration to develop a strong root system and deliver consistent yields over time. We also considered the practical side of orchard care. Proper spacing makes it much easier to mow around the trunks, prune, harvest, and maintain the trees as they mature. It gives us access paths, room for tools or equipment, and a layout that feels manageable long term. Another important piece of spacing strategy involves the placement of different varieties. When planting multiple types of the same fruit in a mixed orchard, it is better to separate those varieties rather than grouping them side by side. This reduces the risk of pests or diseases spreading rapidly through all of one fruit type. If an issue ever appears on a single tree, distance provides a natural buffer and helps protect the rest of that crop. For our orchard, we followed a rotation pattern: a peach, then a pear, then a plum, and so on down the row. Over time, this arrangement will help maintain a healthier and more resilient orchard while still allowing for cross-pollination and a beautiful mix of fruit throughout the space. Now that the spacing is set and each tree has its place, we can begin the planting process. We started by using the auger to dig 5 initial holes for every tree. This helped loosen the ground and break through the hard clay layer that covers most of our soil. Once those holes were drilled, we came back with a shovel to remove the loose dirt and shape the space so the entire root ball would sit comfortably, with the top of the soil level even with the surrounding ground. We wanted to give these young trees the best possible start, so we hauled in good quality topsoil from the other end of our property. After placing the tree into the center of the hole, we backfilled all around the roots with that nutrient-rich soil to encourage strong establishment and early growth. Next, we used the heavier clay to build up a firm berm around the base of each tree. This acts like a bowl to collect and hold water. With no irrigation system in place yet, water conservation is crucial for us. Our soil has been extremely dry, and until we have electricity and the well installed, we will be watering everything by hand. The berms will allow incoming rain from the expected storms to soak in slowly instead of running off the surface. After the berms were shaped, each tree received a deep watering to settle the soil and remove any air pockets around the roots. We finished by applying a thick layer of pine chip mulch to help retain moisture, keep the soil cool, and reduce weed competition until these trees become well established. If you notice, I did not mention anything about fertilizing. The reason is that it's best to wait until spring to fertilize a newly planted fruit tree, especially one planted in late fall. At this stage, our primary focus should be on root development. Since the tree is just beginning to settle in the ground, applying fertilizer too early can actually do more harm than good by pushing the tree into growth before the roots are ready. Instead, when spring arrives and new growth begins, apply a balanced fertilizer such as a 10-10-10 formula around the tree's drip line, which is the area beneath the outermost branches. This ensures the nutrients are placed where the roots will reach them. By avoiding fertilizing now, we're giving the tree the best chance for a strong foundation and long-term health. Alrighty, so what all did we get accomplished today? We've been out here for a few hours. It's pretty hot, but the start of our orchard is going. This is where we're going to be ending today. So we have here a La Peche peach, a pineapple pear, Ozark Premier plum, Florida Prince peach, blank space for one of my apples, an Ayers pear, Burbank plum. And we realized we have room, we can add one more here. The row in front, we haven't dug yet. This is going to be all citrus, if you can see my markings here. But yeah, if you have any ideas for well-producing fruit trees that do good in zone 9A, please comment them down below, because I am planning on building onto this every year, as I always do. So we came out today to plant the rest of the citrus. It is raining. I don't know if the camera's actually picking that up. We drove to the back of our property and got stuck. And thankfully we had some long wooden boards back there. We were able to get underneath the tires. As you can see, there was a lot of mudslinging. But thankfully we're back on solid ground now. But that means we have to carry our trees over by hand rather than using the truck. So this should be fun. So we have Ooh, I just poked myself. 4 of these Arctic Frost Satsumas, and we spaced them 2, and then we put our other citrus variety that we have right now here in the middle. And this was the Washington Navel. And then we have 2 more of the Arctic Satsumas. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. I am building in zone 9A. So if you have any favorite low chill varieties of fruit trees that you could recommend me, I would greatly appreciate it. I have more spots available, potentially even a 3rd row. So we are open to any suggestions or ideas. And if you're interested in seeing how this homestead comes together, I encourage you to subscribe. And until next time, stay blessed.